Of course, next Saturday, talkSPORT has live commentary of the undisputed world heavyweight title fight between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois at Wembley. Dubois looking to become the first British heavyweight to hold all 4 major world titles in the 4-belt era, while Usyk aims to become undisputed heavyweight champion for the 2nd time. And you'll hear it right here on talkSPORT.
Round 5. Good right hand, but that was low. And you can see that it has hurt Usyk because he is now onto his backside.
That weren't that low. That was a body shot. I'm telling you, I looked at that. That was on the waistline. Them shorts were high.
We got conned out of that. VAR, if you can have it in football, bring it in boxing.
There goes Joshua. Dubois hits him with a tremendous right-hand counter.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Dubois giving Big Benny Miller a Brooklyn beat down against the ropes. Alexander Usyk finds the answer.
Tyson Fury was out on his feet.
Oh my God! That
On his
left hand.
feet.
London is like my home.
Prepare for the greatest victory in boxing.
A wonderful night for Ukraine.
From Ukraine, Alexander Usyk. Usyk.
It's going to be fantastic. The power of Dubois against the tactics, the guile, the courage of Usyk. Let's bring in a man who's been right at the very top of the boxing world. His former 2-weight world champion, Carl Frampton. Morning, Carl.
Morning, Carl.
Morning, boys. How you doing?
Yeah, really good, thanks, mate. Let's just touch on that one first of all. I think we're all looking forward to it, aren't we? Usyk or Dubois for you?
Oh.
Yeah, I've given up backing against Usyk. I think I picked Fury in both fights, and it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. But I mean, Usyk probably. Daniel has a better chance, I think, this time around than he did the first time. He's certainly on a great run of form and a better fighter than he was a few years ago. But never bet against Usyk.
No, he's such a warrior, Carl, isn't he? And also, tactically, as Jeff just said, whenever nobody seems to be able to get the upper hand on him in that way. So, with all that in mind, how does Daniel start this fight? Does he come flying out at him, all guns blazing, or what? How do you see him operating in this one?
I think he has to start fast, and he has to try and impose his strength and his style. And I think the longer Daniel's best chances in the first half of the fight, I think, as the longer the fight goes on. Usyk's he's just a bit of a genius. He works people out. He figures them out. He'll be going into the fight with a game plan, no doubt. But I have a feeling that a lot of the times he does it on the fly as it's happening, and he figures people out right in front of them. So the guy's amazing. I love everything about him. How he fights, his personality, and everything else. And likewise, Big Daniel too. But Usyk is, I think, a generational great, really.
Certainly a fight that whets the appetite. I think every fight fan will want to see that one. Not everybody wanted to see, with all due respect, Jack Catterall against Harlem Eubank at the weekend, but it certainly made some headlines, that's for sure, Carl. Obviously, Jack winning on a sort of technicality after both men had suffered cuts, I think, in a clash of heads. Look, Harlem Eubank unhappy, not just with the defeat, he's unhappy with you as well. And he reckons that your commentary was a pub jolly up, you and Tony Bellew.
You know, I'm lying down in the medical room. I've got Jack Catterall next to me. My eyes being stitched up, his eyes being stitched up. And, you know, I'm looking at two commentators launching...
Being Carl Frampton and Tony Bellew.
Carl Frampton and Tony Bellew launching personal attacks at me for no reason, which I didn't understand. I think that links back to maybe what my uncle was talking about in the Go Along, Get Along gang, you know, sending Connor, who is not a part of their team, into my dressing room.
What does that mean in specific terms? Because I heard you say it a couple of times yesterday in the interview, or directly after the fight, sorry, which I watched yesterday. The Go Along, Get Along gang. What does that mean?
People that go along to get along, you know, they're...
Who are they going along with?
It's an organisation, and, you know, it's the team that they're with, you know, trying to make people happy, sending someone that is, you know, an alleged drug cheat into my changing room
Right.
to inspect if there's any cheating going on. It's humorous.
You've got your right to reply, mate. What do you say about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I've nothing personal against Harlem Eubank. Nothing at all. But Jack Catterall is my friend, and I trained with him for the last sort of 4 years of my career. I think he had a bit of an issue with me being in Jack's changing room beforehand to wish him luck, and kind of shouting at him from ringside. Now, I wasn't a commentator; I was a pundit on the fight, so I can still give an unbiased view as a pundit, but equally want someone to win the fight. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think it was a little bit of sour grapes from Harlem, really, and it was a bit even, you know. Tony said a few things as well. Tony got stuck into him a bit more than I did, to be honest. But it wasn't a great performance from him. You know, he's making then mad statements after it that he was en route to win by devastating knockout. It all just sounds a little bit deluded for me.
Carl, I never saw the headbutt, Carl. Was it totally accidental? Was it that?
It's what happened. You know what it's like, Andy, with southpaw and orthodox fighters that come together sometimes in a head clash. It was an accidental clash of heads, but both cuts were, well, Harlem's was pretty bad.
Right.
Jack's was horrendous, maybe the worst cut I've ever seen, and it'll require plastic surgery.
Wow.
Now there was the story we were being told at ringside was it was Jack's doctor was allowing the fight to continue, which was insane in my eyes, and it was Harlem's doctor that called the fight off. But it turns out that wasn't true. Turns out it was the referee then actually stopped the fight. But I actually made a point of going to the doctor in Jack's corner and saying, like, are you, like, what is wrong with you? You can't fight with that cut. It was easily the worst cut I've ever seen.
Cool. Wow.
If it's any consolation as well, Carl, you know, commentators and pundits being accused of bias. Goodness me, it's never happened to you, Andy, hasn't it, on football?
Only every week, Carl. I get it. Yeah. So you know, I wouldn't worry about it, mate, too much. You just have to. You call it as you see it. That's what it is. And people always think you've got. People always say the same to me, Carl, about some of my former clubs. Yeah. Oh, you prefer them, and it's like, no, I don't. I go there, I watch the game. I don't go with any agenda. I just watch it and call it.
So
exactly, I'm exactly that. I mean, and I feel like I try to be as fair and as not as biased as it can be. And I mean, I've called my mates out on times. Josh Taylor, when he fought against Jack Catterall, I was going to his wedding a few weeks later, and I said that I think Jack won the fight, and I got a little bit of stick about that. But I try to be as honest as I can.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was ahead on all of the judges' scorecards, wasn't he, Jack, at the time when the fight was stopped. I mean, no doubt Harlem Eubank will want a rematch. Did you see that happening? Or has Catterall got bigger things in his sights?
I don't think so. I mean, I think. Yeah, I think Jack will be looking to push on for bigger and better things. I think that, no disrespect to Harlem, but I think he kind of showed his level, and his level isn't quite world class. Nothing wrong with that. It may be European level, something like that. But it's not a fight that I would like to see anyway. It was a really dull fight. The most exciting thing that happened was the head clash, to be honest, at the end. So. It was a bit of a boring fight, a bit of a stinker, and I don't think there'll be too many people wanting to see it again.
No.
Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn rematch. What do you think of that, Carl?
Yeah, I mean, I loved the first fight. It was unbelievable.
Great. It was great, wasn't it?
Pure theatre, and like everything involved. It was so good, and I think that Eubank won the fight fair and square by a couple of rounds. But Conor Benn put in a really good performance. And I feel like at Eubank's age, and with the issues with the weight and the rehydration clause, and having to be involved in a fight like that, I think it takes something away from Eubank a little bit more than Conor Benn. Fights like that aren't good for people, especially when you're well into your 30s. I don't.
Oh, we just lost him.
We just lost you there, mate. Sorry, Carl.
Sorry, Carl, yeah.
Carl, thank you very much for joining us, though. Former two-weight world champion Carl Frampton there. You looking forward to Eubank against
I
Ben?
am, Jeff. I'm looking forward to it. And it's funny, back like years ago, normally when there's a fight like that, the Eubank Conor Benn fight, if you beat an opponent, you kind of already, and if it was a really grueling tough fight, as it was for Chris Eubank Jr., you're already thinking about moving on to the next, who's the next one? Whereas now, of course, we're all obsessed with these rematches and rematch clauses in every fight deal, and even trilogies. You know, we've gone into that sort of territory now where it's kind of becoming the norm, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But yeah, everybody looking forward to.
I love it. By the way,
against Dubois. I mean, that's
a proper fight, isn't it?
Yeah, must see. It's a must-see fight, isn't it?
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.